The Denver Broncos have finally hired their next head coach, but could we see a former Broncos head coach return to the Mile High City? What's up, guys? Welcome to Denver Broncos Syndicate, part of the Sports Syndicate family of channels where we are dedicated to bringing you content about our favorite sports teams. I am your host, Gage Madrid. Before we jump in, guys, if you could just do me a big favor and smash the like button on this video, as well as subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so, I would really appreciate it. Those are two free and easy ways that you can help show your support. It helps tell YouTube to push us out to fellow members of Broncos country just like you and me. Earlier today, the Denver Broncos went out and made a massive move. They went out and hired Sean Payton to be the 19th head coach in franchise history. The Broncos sent the 29th overall pick in the 2023 draft, along with a 2024 second round pick to the New Orleans Saints in exchange for the contractual rights to Sean Payton, as well as a 2024 third round pick. Entering this head coaching search, Broncos owner and CEO Greg Penner said that they wanted to be aggressive in this cycle and they wanted to come away with one of the big fish. And you could definitely say that they came away with the biggest fish of them all. Of course, acquiring Sean Payton did come at the price of a first and second round draft pick. But at the end of the day, if the Broncos truly believe that Sean Payton can help fix the team as well as fix Russell Wilson, then this move will have been well worth it. Now that the Broncos have finally hired a head coach, the question now becomes who are going to be the coordinators that serve under Sean Payton. One name that I would definitely watch for the Broncos offensive coordinator position is former Chargers offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. Lombardi was the former quarterbacks coach in New Orleans under Sean Payton, so that is definitely a name to keep an eye on at OC. However, in this video, we're going to be focusing on the defensive coordinator position. Early in this coaching cycle, reports suggested that Sean Payton wanted to potentially build a super staff, and he wanted to potentially include Vic Fangio on that staff as defensive coordinator. Now, you may remember that earlier this week, it was announced that Vic Fangio had agreed to become the defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. However, Fangio himself has told Broncos reporter Mike Kliss that that deal has not officially come together yet, so as of right now, Vic Fangio is still a free agent. Now, some in Broncos country may have some reservations about Vic Fangio coming back to Denver just one season after being fired as the head coach, but this would just obviously be as defensive coordinator, and we all can definitely agree that that's where Vic Fangio does his best work. He is best as being the head coach of the defense, essentially, and not letting him have to be involved with any of the activities on the offensive side of the ball, because that was ultimately his biggest shortcoming as Broncos head coach. Now, Dave Logan of KOA Radio, also known as the voice of the Denver Broncos, recently stated earlier today that the Broncos are in talks potentially with Vic Fangio to return to Denver as defensive coordinator. Logan states that the Dolphins and the Broncos are currently in a bit of a bidding war for Vic Fangio's services, so it's going to be really interesting to see which direction Vic decides to go. Some in the Broncos locker room may also have some reservations about Vic Fangio coming back. I know based on some reports that I've seen on Twitter, as well as talking to some people who are close to the Broncos, Vic Fangio is not the most well-liked guy amongst the players. That's not really much of a surprise based on what we've all seen from the outsider's perspective. But if the Broncos were to bring back Fangio as defensive coordinator, there would be potentially some bridges that would be burned relationship-wise. I don't know with whom those relationships are, but that is something to keep in mind. I still believe that at the end of the day, Vic Fangio is going to be the next defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, but there is still an outside chance that the Broncos could swoop in and grab Vic Fangio. Now, if Vic Fangio does end up going to Miami, or if for whatever other reason the deal doesn't come together, the best candidate for the Broncos defensive coordinator job is the guy who's already there, Ejiro Evero. Sean Payton clearly has an affinity for the Vic Fangio defensive scheme, and Evero was able to take that scheme last season and sort of evolve it and make it even more dynamic and effective, in my opinion. So, if Sean Payton really wants to be smart here, he will take a serious consideration at keeping Ejiro Evero around as defensive coordinator. Personally, I would rather Sean Payton do that than bring in Vic Fangio because, again, like I stated earlier, Ejiro Evero was kind of able to take that Vic Fangio scheme, implement some elements of the Wade Phillips scheme and some other prominent schemes across the NFL, and he really took that scheme to the next level. So that's the direction I would really prefer the team go at defensive coordinator. Unless, of course, Evero gets poached as a head coach, but it's seeming more likely that that's not going to happen this head coaching cycle. So we may be able to keep Ejiro Evero around for one more year, and he could potentially groom someone under him to take over the defensive coordinator role when he leaves to be a head coach, or potentially next season we could think about going down maybe the Vic Fangio or someone else route. So that's what I feel like is going to happen for the Broncos at defensive coordinator. I feel like it would be the best move to keep Ejiro Evero around, but a solid backup plan would be Vic Fangio. But again, I think that at the end of the day, Vic Fangio is going to go to the Miami Dolphins. I'm curious, Broncos country, if the team were to bring back Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator, how would you feel about it? Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear from you. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And while you're at it, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Gage Madrid NFL for even more Broncos coverage. And for now, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.